Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello. No sound, Daniel.
No sound, Mick. But
we do have amps.
we do have amps.
They're just not plugged in.
No.
And as you can see, we're in a new environment which we're tentatively calling That Pedal Shed.
That Pedal Shed.
See what we did there?
I like it. I like it.
And this is just to say hello from That Pedal Shed. We've almost finished.
Nearly.
You can hear it's still a little bit reverberant in the room, so we've got some treatment to do.
It's reverberant.
Reverberant.
I like that. Yes, we're still in the same place, but we've extended, we've knocked through, we've done some hard yakka.
Yeah, which is an Australian word for work, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a vague memory of that term. So, yeah, we're nearly there. The last couple of weeks, while we've been doing this, we've been out and about. We did the interview with Biffy Clyro, Summer Neil from Biffy Clyro, which was awesome. And this week we have, we went to see Steve Vai and Dave Weiner, who is Steve Vai's right-hand man, the other guitar player in the band.
Actually, yes, he is. Yeah.
There you go, being completely literal. Literally his right-hand man. So we did an interview with Dave, you know, what it's like to be on the Passion and Warfare tour and his gear and all that stuff, which was awesome.
Yeah, so that's coming up after this, which is just to say welcome to That Pedal Shed. Next week there'll be a full show. And Raglan tees with distressed logo available now in the That Pedal Show store.
We've been asked for loads of these, and here they are.
So there you go, they're available to buy now. So next week, full show with the usual bits and pieces.
The usual accoutrement.
Accoutrement, yeah. But for now, enjoy Dave Weiner.
Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here with Mr. Dave Weiner.
And I am absolutely delighted to be here with you guys.
Oh, bless you.
Let's start by saying Daniel saved the day because my amp took a bit of a tumble overnight and a cap popped off, and we were thinking, okay, well, we need the part. We need to go find somebody. And I was like, oh, Daniel's coming to do a great interview for That Pedal Show, and he knows everything about everything. So Daniel, do you have you don't happen to have a cap for a Friedman? Oh, yes, I do. Great, I can come and fix it. Comes in, amp's working.
Making magic happen.
Making magic happen.
It's
So
what
thank
we
you
do,
so much.
buddy. It's no problem. So we are here in Bristol, and it's the Steve Vai Passion and Warfare 25th anniversary tour.
Right. Yeah.
Which is just spectacular.
Very special tour. Yeah. And I've been in Steve's band again almost 17 years, and all the tours are great, of course, but this one is very special because it's the Passion and Warfare. We're playing the record front to back, and I think everybody, or most guitar players, who have been Steve Vai fans, they have a story about when they first heard Passion Warfare, or when they first got it. And I remember mine was, I was on a field trip. It was 1990, so I was 14. I was on a class field trip from Philadelphia up to Manhattan, and I broke off from the field trip. I had a Sony Walkman and like $12, and I went to it was Tower Records or Sam Goody or something at the time, and on the release day.
Wow.
And I got it, put it into the Walkman, joined my group again, and I was just listening to Passion Warfare the whole time. So it's really awesome to be able to come and play it live front to back, because there's a lot of stuff that Steve never did a tour. He never did a tour for the record because when it came out, he was on the Whitesnake tour.
Yes,
so if you remember, the solo that he would do was some of the songs from Passion Warfare, but he never got a chance to tour the record. So this is kind of making up for that 25 years later and playing some of the songs that have never been played live. Some of the songs on the record, especially the song called Love Secrets, is, it's not Steve's playing on it, but the rest of it is not humans. So it was a really cool and interesting process to figure out all of these parts that were done, again, by Steve's imagination and the tools that he had around him, but again, they weren't done by humans. So to bring that live, it's a really cool thing. And so we plowed through rehearsals in 2 weeks, and there's video going on and some really cool special guests jamming via video, so it's really, really a very special event. But yes, we didn't have a chance even in rehearsals to run the show. We were just do this song, let's do this song. We never had a chance to run the show until we started the tour up in Glasgow 6 shows ago, whenever it was. And that's the first time that we actually got through it. And after that show, we were all like, we did it. We played the show front to back, and it was great. And we realized that the show is only about 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is unusual for a Steve Vai show.
They normally, Steve loves to play a few hours.
Steve's a giver.
He's a giver.
So when he knows people are spending their hard-earned money to come to a show and their time, and they could be doing a lot of different stuff. So he's like, his mentality is, let's give them not only a great show, of course, but a lot.
Passion and Warfare, for a lot of guitar players, is certainly a seminal album.
Yes.
It's really important, certainly for me.
Yeah.
And Mick. I can remember finding Flexible in a record store and just being blown away. And then Idem and Smile came out, and I'm just, everyone's sort of turned on to this amazing guitar player. And then there was such an anticipation for Passion and Warfare when it came out.
Yep.
And it fulfilled its promise.
It really did.
It was incredible.
It was like the perfect storm.
Yeah.
Right time, right place, right music. And I don't know if you guys had it over here, but in the States, the one particular guitar magazine put out the 3 months leading up to it.
The 3 different posters, and you had to. Are you kidding? Absolutely.
Of course, I had it. Everyone up on the wall. The next one up on the wall.
Of course.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What sort of mindset? What sort of you're coming in a supporting role for Steve. What's that like with such an important gig like this?
Well, it's an interesting situation that I've been doing it for so long now. I never ever thought I would be in Steve Vai's band at all, or yet alone 17 years. And like I said, I know how Steve. I know his mind and how he works and what he expects from a band. So every time we go out on tour, I try to show up over-prepared, so that because the last thing you want when you're hiring musicians is to have to stop and say, okay, you should be doing this. It happens, of course, everybody's human and such, and especially when you're learning such dense music. In my case, listening to all the songs on any of his records, there's so many guitar parts, and then layered with acoustic, sitar, and so I'm thinking to myself, which part should I pick? And because Steve was out on the Generation X tour, and he was even finishing the record, at the same time, and doing this video and stuff. So he sent me an email apologizing, saying, I don't have time to kind of part out what you're going to be playing, so just do your best and we'll figure it out in rehearsals.
Right.
So he's very understanding. I didn't learn everything. I still went through my process when when Steve doesn't have a chance to actually go into the mixes and pull out a part for me. Because really it's except for the super obvious maybe chord changes and such, there's so many little things that you would never know is in there. And it's really cool stuff. But it is also interesting because I've met people throughout the years, after they see a Steve Vai show, because of course I do rhythm, acoustic, sitar, but there are plenty of melodic lines that I double with Steve throughout the night. We trade solos, we just improv and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
And it's an amazing thing, of course. But I've met people after the show who come up to me and say, oh, I didn't know that you played lead. And I'm like, okay, I understand. I kind of understand because there's certain band formats where there are guys who don't play lead. Like, sure. Their job is rhythm, but it's not quite like that in this band because again, everybody, Steve's music. There's rhythm, but if you if you listen to Steve's version of rhythm, it's a chord and then a 64th note line, back to the chord, over to the acoustic, back to your electric. And so you'll see tonight, I mean, on the acoustic and sitar, we have them up on the stands because I have to go between them quite frequently on some occasions. But
well, it was
really nice.
Seeing you play, came across you on Facebook, and the Guitopia, and the tuition that you give, and it was incredible.
Oh, thank you so much.
And so yes, Dave's lead playing is really quite awesome. If you get a chance, go to his Facebook page and check it out. But yeah, so let's have a look at some sounds and what we're using for the gig. Yeah, I mean, pedalboard wise, yeah.
Yeah, well, of course, the brains of everything is Daniel's G2. And what really attracted me to this was, besides seeing the videos and your explanations and seeing you integrating it into other players' rigs and explaining it in that situation, and how easy, the simplicity in programming it. And it really is, and it's great. But also because it has 14 presets per bank, and that's great. To have 14, it just means that you're moving less.
Yeah.
And that's great, because there's a lot going on in the show, and to be able to stay concentrated more so on performing and actually playing the right notes, always a good thing. The way I have it set up, my boards are usually clean over to lead, and that's pretty much the way that I have it here. So my clean sound is just a basic clean with a little, there's no delay, it's just a little bit of reverb. Yeah, and that's it.
That's a big clean sound.
It's the Friedman BE100 is my amp of choice. I got it back in 2012. We were in rehearsals for the last World Tour, and it used to be VHT. They're Ultra Lead, 3-channel monster amp, KT88s. Love it. Nice. Really remarkable, especially if you're using a 7-string. And that's what gravitated me towards it, because it's KT88 tubes, tons of articulation, even when everything is dimed. Yep. And that was my amp for about 10 tours or so. And it was in rehearsals, of course, but I was thinking, let me just start trying whatever else. So, we got a bunch of different amps that came in, and then the guys from Friedman stopped by with this and a few other ones, and it was just, I started, within 5 seconds, I started playing, I knew it was that, and Steve was, standing in his spot, and he turned around and looked, and it just, it just had this sound that's the one for the tour.
Yeah, awesome.
And so, I've had it for 4 years now, and it is constantly surprising me. It's an anomaly how it shouldn't sound this good.
Yeah, right.
But Friedman, Dave is a genius, and his designs are amazing, and the amps that have been coming out subsequently it's like it's hard to pick one, because they're all so good at what they do. But this one, he calls it a simple clean channel. It's just a volume knob for clean with a shared EQ and a bright switch if you wanted some different brightness for the clean. But that's it. But it's big and lush and punchy. Very sensitive. It's very reactive.
And that's the L34s?
Fantastic. It is the L34s, yes. Yeah. Dave just retubed it right before we left. Sounds fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just awesome.
And brought back to life again today by Dr. Steinhardt. So that's my basic clean patch, and then I'll go to basically the same thing, but now I've got a chorus top of it, which is still, it's a subtle thing. I don't need much. So that's all that's given me. Some nice width. And then we do a song called Racing the World, and that one requires the crystals sound. So I've got so it's all that old Eventide kind of stuff, that pitch and delay. And my part for that song is I'm just holding some of these 7th chords and beautiful kind of sound. But yeah, to hear it, you know, that's what it's doing. It's a great thing. Great thing.
So this is taken from the H3000.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes. Steve actually had his old H3000, and he had, you know, various versions of it that he used on Passion and Warfare. But that one main one at rehearsals, because he was, and Eventide was pulling patches off of it to fit them into the, you know, the H9s and such.
Nice.
And I keep getting emails, you know, can you share your H9 patches? And I absolutely will. I'm still tweaking them. So, you know, let me get through the tour a little bit more and get everything fine-tuned, and you'll at least have my sounds. You won't, you know, but they sound good. And then Grit is the clean channel with the lovely Wampler tumness.
Oh man!
On top of
what
it.
a pedal!
Such a great pedal.
Isn't it awesome?
So without the tumness, we're back to a basic clean sound, and then with it. It's just got that really nice grit. Just does that.
So good.
It's really nice, and I
So
do have the
good.
gain up quite a bit on that one. But again, it's just again for that song "Racing the World," and it starts out with some of these chords. So I don't want it to be full-on amp saturation.
Yep,
I
yep.
wanted to push the clean channel a
Yep.
bit and get some nice. Have the clean to it, but some good grit to it. So that's that one.
Sounds
And
fantastic.
then the rhythm is it's the beast. You know, the beast comes alive when.
So good.
And I do. The gain is dimed permanently.
Right.
That's just where I leave it. We can do a close up of the amp and get the
Yeah,
the EQ
yeah.
of it for the viewers. So that's a basic rhythm.
Yep. It's awesome.
It's again, it's that thing. We turned the amp on in rehearsals 4 years ago, and I just went like, and it's got all the gain you could want, but it
Yeah.
still has the articulation.
Yeah, yeah.
The lead is really just a little bit of a delay difference.
Okay.
So on my basic rhythm sound, I still have a little bit of wetness, but it's not much. I mean, this rhythm here. So there's a little bit of delay. So on the lead, I think it comes up maybe 5%.
Okay.
So it's just a little bit more.
Yep.
And then the lead with overdrive. Oh, that's right. Yesterday, because the amp broke, I was using the Marshall. When I'm playing in front of the Marshall, I like to put the mini tube screamer in front of it.
Oh, okay.
But when I am using the Friedman, let me switch it back. Whoops. Nope, not that one. This one. I'll use the Wampler DB Plus.
Okay.
Because over the years of using these Friedmans, I've kind of stopped using color boxes, like a tube screamer or something like that.
Yeah.
I love them for certain things, but I love the sound of that amp so much that all I want to do with it is give a bit of a boost.
Yeah.
And so that's all. And it just sings, you know, and it's nothing more than a tiny bit of a boost from the Wampler. So here's without the deep. It's almost, I mean, it's almost imperceivable to anybody who wasn't really paying attention, but the feel is there, and it's just a little bit of a bump, and it pushes the front end just a little bit more, and it really does a nice difference.
Fantastic.
And then, you know, basic stuff. I've got my wand. The standard Crybaby. I went through and I tested the new Petrucci one, which is amazing, but and then the classic one, which is a different inductor, and then the standard one, and I have the 535Q. This one, it just does a lot very. Basic funk kind of thing. It just works.
That's just a standard off the shelf.
Yeah, that's the cheapest version of the Crybaby that they make, and it just does a lot really well.
We'll have to remember that one, Mick.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can line them all up. That's what I recommend. As everything, you can testing guitars, amps, pedals, whatever. Line them all up that you can. But I just came back to that, the one you could walk into any store and find.
Yeah.
It's not modded at all. It does its thing. Octave is the first song that we do called Gravity Storm, and it's the H9 set down just an octave.
That's awesome.
It'll move you.
Yeah.
It'll move you. And the great thing also is I've got the expression pedal hooked up to that H9. And there are parts in that song where I need to use it as a whammy. As well, which eliminates, the whammy pedal is the best sounding version of that, but it's that much more room on a board that you need to take. So we got to eliminate that by using.
And there's nothing wrong with that sound. That sounds great.
No, for what I need to do with it, it works really well. Yeah.
Now you also have a couple of the new Keeley pedals on here. Massive fan of Keeley stuff. Robert's a genius.
Yeah.
So we've got the Monterey, which I'm really excited to hear.
I love the Monterey. Yeah, and it offers so much. I'm only using it for one particular sound. Let me bank up here. I'm using it for its auto wah. It's just a small part of one song that we do in the set, but that's exactly the sound that I needed for it. And there's a million different versions that you can find of that kind of sound, but that one just sounds, it's just so right. But of course it does. I can throw a fuzz. There's the fuzz by itself. I haven't even played really with the fuzz and much of the other stuff yet, but just that right there, it just sounds great.
Awesome.
I'm a fan.
Awesome. And we've featured the Compressor Pro on the show before. Fantastic compressor. Also because you do a lot of stuff in the studio.
Yes.
And you know what all the knobs do. For a lot of guitar players, they look at that and get confused. But for someone who knows how to work a ratio and the attack and all that sort of stuff, they are absolutely sensational compressors.
That's why I have that, because I use a few different compressors in my studio, and I love having a compressor that gives me everything I'm used to seeing: ratio, input, output, and threshold, and all of that kind of stuff. And the fact that you can choose a hard or soft knee, or you could just auto everything. That's really cool. And then the indicators, the threshold indicator and the reduction indicator. Huge kind of thing, and even if you're not used to compression, just the visual of it helps the psyche. It helps to understand what's actually happening. Okay, so I only use it. I don't use it on the dirty channel because that's getting the natural compression. But I can't have a clean channel without a good compressor. So like when I'm playing that song Answers, volume help. It just helps to get some spank happening. So without it, it's still there. But the compression to me is it's like adding, it's the glue. It's like adding breath. It's adding the life to it because it's setting a certain, as a certain time to attack, and then to release. And the program dependency there just makes it kind of flow. So without it, it still sounds fine, but with it, it just helps to bring it to life a little bit more. And I think that if people look at it, the compressors that way, instead of, oh, this is supposed to be doing this, and then I can bring everything up and go from there, just don't worry about it that way. Think of it as just adding just some extra life to everything.
Still dynamic and lovely, but
tons. It's great, and I only run it about 3 dB of reduction. Depending. That's about as hard as it'll get hit. But that's all I want, you know,
Sure.
just a little bit to grab onto that and just give it that hug, that sonic hug. It really is awesome. So I love that. I love that compressor.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so a very quick excursion through Guitar Land. 7-string PRS.
Yes, I have the extreme honor and pleasure to be playing PRS guitars, and Paul and his whole team are so awesome. They're just so great. They're about 2 hours south of where I live.
Oh, cool.
And the thing that I always say about the PRS stuff, when you get to know Paul, or just after a 2-minute conversation, you realize that Paul's mind is laser focused on how to make these as good as they possibly can be in every way. So this one, for this gig with Steve, I needed a couple of 7 strings. So these are actually 2000. This is a 2010 model that we did, and it's based off of their 513,
Right.
which is a 5-way switch, and then another 3-way, which is single coil, which just taps your 3 coils like you would on a Strat. Low output humbucker mode, which engages everything, but at a more tamed kind of output, and then high output, right? So as far as I know, this is still the only 513 7-string in existence. And I wanted it because I have a few the very first guitar, PRS guitar I ever got was a 513, and I quickly saw how versatile it was. And for a gig like this, because you'll see tonight, I'm constantly flicking both, because in one given song, I'll need like a really nice stratty kind of clean, like we do a song called Answers. It's supposed to have a little more clarity to it. It's some single coil thing. So that is single coil mode with these two. So it's not a Strat. It's never going to be a Strat. Strat's a Strat. Fine. Right. But this gives me close enough to make that kind of thing happen. And then again, in the middle of the song, I need to come over to full blown mode. And I guess I could have one of the Guthrie, what is it called? The afterburner or whatever that's called, where it just engages, everything's down and up and all that kind of stuff. Maybe we'll do that one. But it's got such versatility, and that's why I loved it. So we did it's a maple top, of course. PRS's beautiful tops are amazing.
Yeah.
Filipino, everybody.
Beautiful.
But it's over ash, which is a bit unusual for, PRS has done ash guitars, and I love ash. I just love the quality of the tone coming from there. For me personally, I like it a bit more than your standard maple over mahogany and mahogany neck and all that. Love it. I've got plenty of guitars like that, but just for me and my sound, give me an ash. So we did maple over ash with a maple neck, and PRS's maple necks are always just gorgeously flamed. And you just ow, it's hot. 'Cause it's so I know I'm a ham, but and then an ebony board.
Yeah.
And these are DiMarzio PAF7s and a I guess this is a Blaze, DiMarzio Blaze single.
Nice.
And that's it. And standard PRS trem that again, just a testament to their quality. Of course, there's no locking nut.
No.
But I have to sit up here, do all the Vai-isms that I have to do with him, and it just holds its tune. It's such a great guitar.
Awesome.
So that's this one, and this is, like I said, this is based off of their 513 model. Let me grab another one for you.
Now, I wanted to ask you about this guitar because I've seen you use this in videos. So, maple neck PRS.
Yes.
I mean, it looks incredible.
This one is, this was my main player on the last tour that we did, 12, 13, 14, and a tiny bit into 15. So this one's definitely got more usage on it. This is another ash body, but this doesn't have a top. This is just a piece of one piece of ash in it. Just we wanted to do something a little different instead of your standard maple cap, but still the maple neck and a maple board on this one. This is based off of their custom 24 guitar. Right. Standard. I guess that's kind of their big seller. And then again, a couple of DiMarzio PAF7s, which I love because they're a little bit on the lower output side, which adds to the articulation.
For sure.
but still, I mean, you know, running an amp like that with the gain dimed, it's still tamed. It still sounds very musical. And it's it. It's very simple guitar. Sounds fantastic. Great balance to it. Again, you know, great build quality. Yeah,
Awesome.
it's just a great.
Awesome.
For me, it's like everything is aligned when I'm playing these through that, and it's
just great.
Simple guitar.
And you, all the guitars 7 strings on this tour?
No, I do have one more. I have one more 6-string. This is their S2 model,
right?
Which is a U.S. made. They introduced it recently. It's a U.S. made guitar, but it doesn't have quite all the accoutrement as the core line, right? So it doesn't have the flamey top, and I believe some of the hardware is different.
Okay.
But it's still it's a Maryland made guitar, and this is just called their custom. You know, 2 humbuckers. This is obviously a sparkly gold flavor, which is fantastic. And we use this one for detuned stuff. So I believe it's the drop C that we use for this song called Gravity Storm. No, sorry, it's in drop C.
That's great. But,
yeah, right. It's
wicked.
It's moving things for sure. So this is C. Now, the first song, Bad Horsey. So. And we tune it up a whole step to D for that song, a Gravity Storm. But yeah, simple guitar, very simple guitar, great. And that's it. I only have 3 guitars out here. Obviously, coming from the U.S. over to here, we do consolidate. We try to keep everything as efficient as possible because everything flies. And that's really all I needed was a 7-string, a backup for that. So the black one's my main one for this one. The multi-color one will be the backup for that. And then this. And that's really kind of it.
Mate, thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel.
Cannot wait for the show.
It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, awesome.
Bring your earplugs.
All right, guys. Cheers. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.